All right, so we have Brian here has saved 100 during the first month of his working life. In each subsequent month, he saves 11% more than what he had in the previous month. So basically what this is saying is in the first month, he has 100. Let me put month 1. In month 2, he has 100 times the growth rate, which is 1 plus the 11%, or 1.11. And so notice this is to the first power. Month 3 would be 100 times 1.11 raised to the second power. Month 4 would be 100. Hopefully you see what's happening here. So this is kind of the key. Let me get some different colors here. Is that I'm going to write a formula for this where my N is my months and my R is my growth rate, 1.11, and my A is what he started with. And so I can write this as a formula, as a term of a sequence, as A times the rate raised to n minus 1. So be sure you can convince yourself that, okay, so there's 100 times, and even think about if you did this first one, because notice here is actually 1. The first one, you are just actually starting out with this value, but if you started plugging these in, then you'd see what's happening in month 2. 2 minus 1 is how we're getting. So notice in this case, it was 2, n equals 2, 2 minus 1. In this case, n equals 3. And so we can see how to write the actual formula. This I kind of already wrote, which is, in this question, they are asking somewhere right there, the 23rd month. So n is going to be 23. We already established A, the starting value is 100. And our R is the 1.11. And so if we substitute everything in, my term of my sequence, T subscript 23, I'm just going to plug everything into this formula. So 100 times 1.11 raised to the 23 minus 1. And if you throw all of that into a calculator, 23, I get 993.36. Sorry, that's really ugly. There's a decimal place right there. So by the 23rd month, this is showing what he would have in savings. Now this other formula here is showing, well, there's actually a quicker way that you can do, this sequence, and that is in your reading, and let me get it right here, which is my sum of my A, 1 minus R to the N, divided by 1 minus R, and that's actually that formula. Okay, so noticing that I'm going to use this formula now. It said the first 25 working months, so N equals 25, A is still 100, R is still 1.11, so that didn't change. So to substitute for 25, I'm going to get 100, 1 minus 1.11 raised to the 25th power, divided by 1 minus 1.11. And be careful when you're putting this in your calculator, or maybe use something like Desmos. Because the parentheses are going to matter, right? So it's 100, and now the top, 1 minus 1.11 raised to the 25th power, and then divided by the bottom, 1 minus 1.11, and 11,441. That's what I get if I can find my pencil. So that's for this one. S of 25 equals 11,441.33. All right, and so then the last part of this says, in which month of his working life? So as soon as I see which month that tells me that I am going to use the last formula, which is the S equals A 1 minus R to the N divided by 1 minus R. So that goes here. That's the same formula I'm going to use, but notice once again it's asking in which month, so I'm going to have to solve for N. S of N, because I don't know that value yet. When is it? 10,200. Guess what? My A doesn't change, 100, and my R does not change, 1.11. So I plug all of this in, and I'm going to have 10,200 equals 100, 1 minus 1.11 raised to the N, divided by 1 minus 1.11. All right. So what you do from here is you have to actually go through the algebra steps and solve this, because that's what you're trying to do, is you're trying to solve this for N. Well, probably what I would do is I see this 100 here. Why not divide the 100 on both sides? So I'm left with 102. And then why not multiply both sides by this value? So I'm going to multiply it over here as well, 1 minus 1.11, and all I'm left here is 1 minus 1.11 raised to the N. I went ahead and distributed all of this and got an actual value. I got negative 11.22. Notice I can subtract this 1 from both sides. So I'm left with a negative 1.11 raised to the N. This, of course, is going to give me negative 12.22 equals negative 1.11 raised to the N. I don't like dealing with negatives, especially with money, right? So I could divide both sides by a negative 1. And then from here, if you remember how to solve an exponent, you're going to log both sides. So 12.22. and ln of 1.11 raised to the N. And remember what happens, that brings this N down. And then I could divide both sides by the ln 1.11, because the N is here out front being multiplied, so I could divide that. You throw all that in your calculator and you get 23.98. I'll fill this in up here in a second, which rounds to 24 months. And I don't know if it's real picky about this, but this is how it shows the answer for the substitution, which is kind of weird, but this is, I guess they're throwing everything to this side. I don't know, it'd be interesting to see if you could leave it like that. I don't know if it would take it, but I will just show you, probably easier than me typing it. Let me do a screenshot of how they want the answer, or how they show the answer. And let me get it right here. And you can see by looking at this, this is what I did over here, right? This is just going through all the steps, because notice I divided by 100, then I multiplied the 1 by 1, and then I subtracted the 1. So this is what it shows, what they want for that piece right there. All right, there you go. Crazy, right?